Well, coming to the next part of this chapter, Gulliver Part 2, Gulliver and Lilliput Part 2, as we already in the previous chapter came to know that there were two great empires according to Russell in the universe. One was the Lilliputians and other was the Belafuscan. This Belafuscan empire was divided or separated from Lilliputian with an 800-meter wide channel, a river, a channel which was not more than 5 feet deep, but at some places it might be some 6 feet, but not more than 6 feet. This channel divided these two empires from each other, or separated these two empires from each other. But this enemy, I mean to say the Belafuscan Empire, which was the enemy which had posed a threat upon the Lilliputians, was already on the harbor. They had anchored their ships there and they were ready to start a war. They were already there on the harbor. Finally, Gulliver also started some plans. What he did, that he went on the northeast side of the coast of this channel. There what he did, that he fastened some 50 strong cords with the 50 hooks. When he fastened these two things, he had a great plan in his mind. He hid himself behind a small hill and remained there. The enemy was not knowing exactly where this man is, where this giant for them actually, where this giant is. What he did, he finally came near to them and he tied their ships. He tied their ships with these strong cords which he had tied to the hooks. He rowed them onto their ships. When these Belafuscan people, when this enemy saw this big giant as they had not seen him before, they ran away. They could not face him because for them this was a monster-like figure. They had not seen such a great figure before. They ran away, leaving their ships behind. What this Gulliver took the benefit of that very instance. What he did, he hooked all the ships of the enemy fleet and he took that whole with him. While taking that whole with him, what happened that the enemy was very much astonished and very much puzzled. They were very afraid. They, in order to save themselves, in order to defend themselves and their fleet, they arrowed some of the small needle-like arrows on him. They threw some arrows on Gulliver's face, on Gulliver's body, on Gulliver's whole body and whole face everywhere. What happened that Gulliver was having got a strong pain because of that. Those arrows were small needle-like things. However, for them they were arrows, but for Gulliver they were small needles. These arrows literally hurt Gulliver. But what happened in the end, that Gulliver, bearing the whole pain, took the whole fleet with him and while remaining under the river, moved towards the Lilliputian island. What happened then, the Lilliputians, because they were not able to see home Gulliver, because he remained inside the water, half neck inside the water, they were not able to see Gulliver. They thought that Gulliver might have got killed. They were very much feeling unfortunate about this thing and they were kind of feeling gloomy in this situation. However, suddenly Gulliver came out from the river, showed himself, and all the Lilliputian Empire was very much in delight and they welcomed Gulliver into their island. So what do we come to know here? That whole of this, whatever happened, this war, this battle was won by the Lilliputians because of Gulliver. So in this whole chapter, we come to know that there was a conflict between the two groups. One was the small heels, another was the big heels. They were having a conflict in their internal matters, in their internal sphere, in their internal surface. The conflict was about a religious principle, which was quite stupid, quite trivial. However, the same stupid or trivial matter is helping us to attain our purpose or attain our actual theme of this whole chapter, that this chapter is a satire that I had already discussed in the previous chapter, that this whole novel is a satire. It has various satires in it. In these two chapters, we also come to know that there is a satire in this, and that satire has been done on the humankind, the general human stupidity, the general human vices, the general human kind of desires, or human nature. What exactly we see in this chapter, what kind of satire we see in this chapter is that they were fighting on a stupid religious principle, rather on a stupid kind of matter, that is whether the egg should be broken on a smaller end or the bigger end. However, if we come to Red Russell's earlier words, when he says in the chapter, actually this whole conflict should not have been started, he actually says that this whole conflict started on a matter which was not so important, which was not so great. Because actually in the 54th chapter of the Holy Book of their script, it was written that the egg should be broken on any convenient end, a comfortable end, not on the bigger or the smaller end. However, the earlier practice was that the egg should be broken on the bigger end. But it was not written in the chapter of the Holy Book. If we come to our surroundings, if we come to see in the practical world, in our real world, we also fight with each other on the religious principles which otherwise have not been mentioned in that way, in which the way we actually present them. So this is a satire on the human stupidity. We do not actually rely on the real facts. We do not see the real facts. We do not actually interpret the things well, where exactly those things have been written, but later on land into the confusions, chaos, and finally we battle with each other. We fight with each other. We do a lot of bloodshed. We actually, enter into the bloody wars by killing each other. Now here if we see in this chapter, how many people have so far died? It was 11,000 people. Just for a small matter, that is breaking the egg or the bigger on the smaller end, people died in thousands. In the practical world as well today, we see the same things are happening. In the previous times also, we have seen that World War I, World War II, or right now even the Cold Wars or the wars are going on for the smallest and tiniest and the trivial and the stupidest things of the world. On the religious principles, sometimes when actually on the scripts the things are written differently. So we should actually come to the point, we should actually understand the thing that before fighting for something, we should actually consult the main point. We should actually consult the book or the thing or the major fact where the things have been written. Before confirming the fact, before coming to the real conclusion, we should not fight with each other. If we don't have a proper conclusion to something that we are fighting for, we should not actually rely on the wrong facts. We should not fight with each other. So the basic purpose of this chapter is to tell us, is to show us, is to actually make us understand that we should confirm the facts first, we should interpret the things well, we should go through the things wisely, and finally then end up with a conclusion which will not obviously harm anyone. So in this chapter, we see that people are being harmed, people are being killed without any proper reason. That's all about this chapter. Thank you so much.